So recently I was in Atlanta and taking care of some other things I need to take care of, but I could not visit Atlanta without stopping through Savoir Faire and the Black Nose Lab. If you've been around the channel, you know one of my favorite fragrances. In fact, I think it was one of the ones that I said if I could gatekeep, I would. It was Soul Cafe from Savoir Faire. Well, needless to say, I was able to stop by, put my nose on everything that they have, and great experience. But I did pick something up and I wanted to tell you about it. This is the first impression of one of their newest ones, which is Khemetry from Savoir Faire. Stick around, we'll talk about it. All right, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin, and you're watching Smell Goods. I do appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you hanging out with me for a little bit as we run through, talk through, discuss more of the fragrances that are making up my fragrance collection, but also, I think more importantly, helping you in your fragrance journey, helping you smell good, hence the name Smell Goods, right? Appreciate you stopping through. Now, if this is your first time, you already know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, request notifications, and then meet me in the comments. If you've been here before, what's up? Good to see y'all. All right. So as mentioned, I stopped in Atlanta. My wife and I had to go there for a trip. And so I kind of snuck away from the thing that we were there primarily for and was like, I got to stop in, check out the Black Nose Lab and check out Savoir Faire. Put my nose on. He's released 3 new fragrances: Oratory, Khemetry, and Italiano Africano. So I wanted to definitely check those out. And then there's a couple that I have not put nose on from the collection. Beau Noir, and I think there's a couple others, but wanted to do that, just check out the experience. And so I'll try and make sure I put some pictures up here, at least video, what have you. And so when I was there, I was definitely trying to figure out which one I wanted a bottle of. I had gone there with the intention I was probably going to end up with a bottle of Soul Cafe. Didn't do that just because this one was calling my name even more, just because I still have more of the Soul Cafe. So I'm still going to get a bottle of Soul Cafe, but I was like, let's go ahead and get one of the newer ones and let's kind of talk about it. So this again is the first impression of the one that is called Khemetry. We put that there. And just as far as the box, I did do a short, YouTube short, a reel, what have you, that showed the unboxing, but this is the box that it comes in. You can see it kind of opens up. Underneath that little placard card there is where the fragrance would sit. Back of the box, you've got the QR code and you've got the information. You've got Savoir Faire on the sides and what have you. All right. As far as the bottle, very much a nice bottle. This is an upgrade, as it were, or an elevation, as it were, from their previous bottles. Their previous bottles were kind of like the standard fragrance bottles, kind of square, rectangular, and they had the label on it. So this is definitely a next step up. This is an actual stone. I think there is some significance to the stones, and in fact, they're called the Crown Stones collection. So as far as the cap, don't recommend picking it up this way, but it does sit in there pretty snugly. It's not magnetic or anything. You can kind of see that in the stone there is, basically a place for it to sit in. And then as far as the fragrance itself, we'll put that over there. You can, nice pressurized atomizer. Now, one of the cool things that I like and just about their presentation is they include, ooh, that's in the air. Yes. They include tester strips. With their tester strips, you can see what it looks like right there. But when I spray, you'll notice that imagery starts to show up, which is basically the 3 that are the newest fragrances, the Crown Stones collection. Now, hearing the perfumer Chris Classic talk about this and kind of the inspiration of this, this is kind of an homage. This is an update, as it were, to the fragrance that for me was one of those that I wore a lot in college, which was Egyptian musk, right? Where I went to school, don't know about where you were, but where I went to school, I went to an HBCU, and on every corner you had somebody selling oils, and the one that you could get at that time, $5 would last you for at least a good part of the semester, was Egyptian musk. There were some others that, of course, kind of were in the rotation. I think Sex on the Beach was another, and I can't remember. There was a bunch that were there. I know Polo had an oil, what have you. So Egyptian musk is one that definitely was one of my favorites as far as an oil. It was definitely one of my favorite scents and something that I'm familiar with, right? And so for this to be kind of an updated take on it, I wanted to definitely check it out. Now, I'll also tell you that when I was at the Black Nose Lab, as I was at the Savoir Faire store, there's, like I said, 3 that came out. Between this one and the other one, which was Oratory, there was some going back and forth. I really did go back and forth. It was like, yeah, I could do this and that, but this is the one that won out. So again, Khemetry is the one that won out. I'll show it again just so you can kind of see the bottle. As far as what's in this, so the notes in this are sandalwood, Moroccan cedar, Kenyan frankincense, rose, myrrh, African blue lotus, clove, spice accord, green cardamom, vanilla, black pepper, and original Egyptian musk. And in fact, with the package, they of course give you the postcard, and on there are basically the 3 fragrances that make up the Crown Stones collection and the notes that make them up. All right. So I've actually worn this a couple of times, but just to kind of give you, well, actually I've only worn this one time, just because I've been in and out of town a lot since I've gotten this. But you do get some woodiness up top. There's definitely woodiness. There's some smoothness with this. Yeah, the muskiness is there. There's a little sweet muskiness, but not a dessert muskiness. There's just kind of that sweetness that kind of helps to, and there's some floral notes in here. There's some floral pieces to this that kind of help balance out that woodiness. So the woodiness, on your initial spray may come off woody, right? Pause. But it does come off that way, but the floral notes kind of seem to balance it out and kind of soften it up a little. Yeah, this definitely masculine energy. I feel that I think this in theory could go both ways, just because Egyptian musk is a fragrance that definitely was a unisex type fragrance. But I think that this feels more at home for me, a little more masculine. I don't necessarily see my wife wearing this or digging into this. This does kind of exude for me, a little more of a confidence type of thing. It exudes kind of a more masculinity, a little more strength, a little more boldness to it. But that muskiness that's there is nice. The floral pieces to it is nice. And the woody pieces to this is nice as well. You do get a little smokiness from that frankincense, I think it is, but and it may not be the frankincense, but you do get a little smokiness, right? Trying to think how else to. Yeah, this is one that I'm definitely feeling. One that I definitely am, again, obviously because I chose it out of all the other things that were there. But this is definitely one that kind of it's going to work its way into my rotation. As far as what I've gotten, I've only, like I said, worn it once. As far as what I got that one time out of performance was pretty good as far as, hitting the average that I would expect it to hit. I can't tell you long term as far as kind of what that looks like. Haven't let it really sit and macerate for a while. I don't even know if it needs maceration. But as far as just my initial wearing, got about an average 6-7 hours or so, right? And that's just anecdotal. I haven't really spent a whole lot of time to get that. So I definitely will report back and let you know kind of more as I spend more time with it. But this as far as a first impression, and granted, my first impression is really kind of a second impression because I had a first impression in the store. This is a good fragrance. If you're looking for something that is off the beaten path, this is not a cookie cutter smell by any sense of the imagination, any stretch of the imagination. This is not something that everybody's going to be smelling like, right? This is a nice fragrance that is going to be unique. I think that I won't say it's a mass appeal fragrance, just because typically when we think mass appeal, we're thinking something that everybody just automatically loves and you're going to have all over the place. I wouldn't call this a mass appeal fragrance, but it is a fragrance that can appeal to many people, right? This is a fragrance that can definitely, for a number of people, this could work. If you're only looking for for fresh fragrances, this is not going to be a fresh fragrance for you. But if you're looking for something that does have a little more complexity to it, but also just smells good, this is a good one. Yeah, and it does seem to shift a little, even after it's dried down a little, it does seem to shift a little more. I do pick up a little more of that vanilla in there. Do pick up a little more of the spiciness, I think, from the green cardamom. So you do get some other things that start to kind of pop out of there a little more as it spends a little time kind of drying down, as it spends a little time, developing. And so I'll come back with this as far as more information on it, but just to give you that first impression, just to give you my first thoughts on it, this is a nice one. This is a good one. I would also, if you get an opportunity to go to Atlanta, make sure you're following Chris Classic. I'll try and make sure I post maybe his Instagram here. Make sure you're following the Savoir Faire brand so you can be notified when they do open up the Black Nose Lab, because I think it's a great experience. They had a lot of other brands, Black-owned brands to check out. I was able to put my nose on things like Kirk Elliott and Memoir, as well as our friend over at Nazar, our friend Terrence over at Nazar. His fragrance was up there. So for you to smell, not to purchase, but to smell. So it is an experience that if you're ever in Atlanta, definitely want to check out. But as far as this fragrance, as far as Khemetry from Savoir Faire, it's a thumbs up. I'm definitely digging it, definitely liking it. If you had a chance to smell it, let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you're wanting to check it out, I do know that they've got 10 mLs of it if you don't want to, spring for a full bottle. So that may be another way to just kind of check it out and discover whether or not you want to check it out. But that's it for this one. Do me the favor, of course, stay safe, stay sane, stay smelling good. Hit that like, hit that request notifications, and then meet me in the comments. We'll see you next video. Be blessed. Peace.